This episode of Let's Talk Natural Medicine is brought to you by
Hello
Bioglan
everyone,
MedLab,
welcome back to
proud
Let's
platinum
Talk
partners
Natural
of
Medicine, the
ATMS.
Legend series.
Built
And
on 50
today
plus
I'm
years of
joined
healthcare
with
experience
Deanne
and nutritional
Apostolou.
science,
She is a medical
Bioglan
herbalist
MedLab
and
delivers
iridologist with over
practitioner-only
30
formulas,
years of
trusted by
experience in
practitioners,
natural
loved by
medicine. We're going to have
families.
such a great conversation. Deanne's work bridges traditional herbal knowledge passed down through generations with modern evidence-based practice, and I love that synergy together. She's also deeply committed to education and mentorship and preserving the wisdom of natural earth medicine for the future. So stay tuned, everybody, for a great episode. Welcome to the program, Deanne.
Thanks so much, Annie. I'm really excited to be here. I think it's really important, to make sure that this knowledge is passed down. Yeah, it's a great idea. Love it.
Absolutely. So you've been practicing for over 30 years now. How does it feel reflecting on your journey? Looking back going, oh my goodness, can you believe that you're now considered a legend?
Yeah. Well, thank you. Look, I will say that I got a bit of a shock when I sort of got an email and my badge from ATMS. It was like, oh, my goodness, have I really been in practice for 30 years? And it's really great timing because I actually graduated or finished my final exam on the 1st of February. So
Oh,
is the 2nd of February, so 30 years exact. So yeah, it's been quite an amazing journey. And sometimes it feels like it's been ages, and sometimes it feels like it was only just a few months ago. So it's been an amazing journey.
so let's unpack that journey then. Why did you even take a path into particularly herbal medicine? Why did you study herbal medicine?
So, like most people, I started off with some health issues, but only minor health issues. And I was working in Sydney at the time, and I saw a naturopath down there. I was working as a beauty therapist. And what I find is really interesting is there's actually a few people I know that have gone from beauty therapy to naturopathy, which,
Hmm.
yeah, I find it really interesting. So my thing was that I started seeing an acupuncturist, and then I started having some Zen shiatsu massage. And I just got very much involved in wanting to help people from the inside out. As a beauty therapist, obviously,
Mm.
it's all about skin and
Yeah.
how you're helping people from the outside. But I had a regular clientele in Neutral Bay at the time, and every month you'd be talking to people and almost like a counseling session. The makeup would come off, the earrings would come off, the gown would go on, and the people were just dropped down to their really raw level. And so you'd have lots of amazing conversations. But it was through that I thought, wow, I really want to be able to help people from the inside out, not just skin deep, literally. And I
Mm.
started at Nature Care College, excuse me, for 12 months. And
Yeah.
then I decided it was time to move back to Newcastle. My husband and I had been married for a little bit, and it was like, oh, time to have children. Let's move back home, closer to mum.
Yeah.
And and so then my sister also had found Nancy Evelyn and the Newcastle College of Herbal Medicine. And she was like, oh my goodness, this woman is amazing. And you've got to come back here. She's just got an incredible herbal college. You just love her. And yeah, so that's sort of what led me. That was the clincher for us to move back home because I could continue my studies and started
Oh,
at the Newcastle College of Herbal Medicine with
what a
Nancy.
what a dream. And she was part of Dorothy Hall's lineage, wasn't she? So
Yes,
real
yeah.
real legend of the time.
Oh, yeah. Nancy is one of Dorothy's first graduates.
Hmm.
So it was really fascinating to get the inside, that real sort of picture, which was a little bit different to the nature care way of putting things. And nature care was obviously with naturopathy, not just herbal medicine, but that was at the time where you could do it all at once if you wanted to, the nutrition and the naturopathy and the herbal medicine. Newcastle College was really just the herbal medicine. But we had a college in Newcastle. So I think Nancy started in about 1988. She
Mm-hmm.
started the Newcastle College, and there was a college right up until 2018 or 2017, somewhere around 2018, I think it was. So a lot of reps, it's interesting, come to Newcastle and go, wow, there are so many naturopaths and herbalists in Newcastle. And it's like, that's because we had a college here for so many years
Mm.
that then unfortunately changed once it went to degree status. So
Yeah.
yeah, so there's a really beautiful big community of natural practitioners in Newcastle. It's fabulous. And with Nancy, we were studying bark flowers and homeopathy, the traditional dosages and things with herbal medicine, a little bit of astrology if you wanted to, definitely looking at the Culpeper side of
Yeah.
things where you were marrying the herbs with the planets and the person. So it was, yeah, just fabulous education. Just loved it.
How wonderful. And then, so you've then mainly focused on the herbal medicine. That's obviously become your passion area. So things like drop dosing and traditional tinctures and their strengths and things like that. What attracted you to that real traditional side?
I guess it was the fact that we were, well, it's all I knew at the beginning.
Mm.
Okay, so yeah, that's how we were taught. When I started in clinic, we had 1 in 10s and 1 in 8s on our shelf. That's all we had. We didn't have any other tinctures that were 1 in 1s or 1 in 2s. So it was like almost in a way like your homeopathic doses of your tinctures. And then slowly things changed as the companies changed and came on board with different strengths going into the 1 in 1s. And I guess it's sort of knowing that you were still getting results with people at a lower dose. It's
Mm.
also a personal thing because I've had many discussions, having been in education myself, because then I was teaching in the Newcastle College for a while, that we had the Academy of Complementary Health, and lots of discussions with lots of other practitioners of going, come on, try the 5 ml doses, 5 ml 3 times a day. I was going through, some other health issues, and one of the herbalists that I was working with was like, okay, just for you, I'll give it a shot. And, I couldn't manage it. I tried really hard for 2 weeks and I just found the doses were too strong for me. And
Yeah.
it's that personal thing of like, well, if I can't manage it, then I can't expect my clients to manage it. And because I was getting great results on lower doses, and the fact that it's also better when you're talking about usage of herbs, especially if you want to use any of the endangered species, you're using a lot less herbs and you're affecting your footprints less with your
Mm.
medicine business as well.
Mm. It's the classic, yeah, less can be more, isn't it? It's really
Yeah,
interesting. And that personal
yeah.
experience, which brings me to the thought that often, the reality is that simplicity in herbal medicine is sometimes the best kept secret. It doesn't have to be, yeah, high dose, more of this. It's kind of like, is that a challenge to, as part of your practice, to actually just trust me in the smaller doses, they're tailoring it to you, keeping it simple?
Yeah, it can be a challenge, Annie. It really can be because then if somebody's coming to you and they've been to see somebody else and then they're like, oh, well, how come this small amount's going to help me, whereas
Yeah.
I was prescribed 15 mils, not 2 mils. But it also depends on the person sitting in front of you because if I've got, like I have got some people that are on 5 mils twice a day because they
Mm.
weren't getting an effective response on a smaller dose. So rather than change the bottle to begin with, then I'll change the dose. And then if that's not helping them, we'll sort of change the herbs. So it really depends. Some people, I've even got some people that it can only take 2 drops, which is an
Wow.
incredible homeopathic dose, but they're too sensitive. They're just very sensitive souls, very sensitive to everything in the world and their environment. And so 2 drops is enough for them to get a response.
Incredible. Incredible.
Yeah, so for some people, it is a real challenge, especially if I'm mentoring newer students. They're like,
Mm.
how does it work? How is it possible? It's like, well, let's just try it and see, and just give it a shot yourself and see how you go.
Exactly. Now, you built your practice alongside raising three children and being part of a family business. So, what did that teach you about the profession that you're in and about sustainable practices to be in there for the long term?
Yeah, I always wanted to keep my foot in the door. That was really important. I never wanted to just go, no, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm going to take a complete break because I feel like I lived it. And
Mm,
children have been on herbs since they were born.
yeah.
So, there was the odd thing of like, oh, they needed somebody, so I'd just put a drop with mixed with a little breast milk and then put it into their mouth. So they've just always had it. So it's been part of my life for so long. Um, but I still wanted to be with my children as much as I could, but I still wanted to have my profession and my own thing, I guess. As
Mm,
you're, a wife and a mother with three little kids under 5, it was pretty hectic. But I was
yeah.
still able to have, at that point, when by the time my third one came along, I was practicing from home.
Mm,
So I could work around. She was in daycare, the boys were in school, and I had one day where I would see people. So even if I only saw a couple of people a week, I just loved it. And I then, as they got older and I was able to, I just kept building it more and more. Again, it sort of ebbed and flowed. I was building my practice for a while and then it sort of had to slow down a little bit with the children. And then when I was able to, it sort of built up again. Then when I was teaching so much, I closed my books for a while. And then when that stopped, then I've sort of upped it. And I basically see people 2 days a week. So yes, it's not a lot, but I love seeing people, but then the rest of it a lot is very much involved in education and with estuary learning.
mm. So it's all about the balance, isn't it? And it is so hard as I'm a mum of five.
Wow,
It is
yes.
such a balancing act of that's right. You know, this is what you love doing. You're in that profession, not having the full break, which is a great idea if you can do it. And then just doing that juggle. So I was going to ask you, well, how did that then help you create a situation? But you obviously just did it. And that's the wonderful thing that you can do it from home and even more and more these days, we can be more and more flexible, which is great. Did being a mum shape the way you worked with your patients or not?
Yes, I would say it did, definitely. It gives you more of an understanding, and I think you also attract the different people at different times. It's really interesting when I look at my practice. Like I'm actually in a clinic now because I really like the clinic space, and I've been in a clinic now for a few years. Um, but there's there becomes a bit of a cluster, if you like, of people that come to see you, new mums, or then you're dealing with older mothers or people going through menopause, and it really varies across across the conditions that you're
Mm,
treating. So yeah, it's really interesting. It gives you a new understanding of women
mm.
that have had children and the exhaustion.
Yes.
It's enough with 3 kids. You're amazing that you've had 5 kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's needing to be organized, as I'm sure you know, and any mothers listening, you really
Mm,
need to be organized if you want to be able to work as well as practice and have your own thing that you love to do. It doesn't
mm.
really feel like work when you really love to do it anyway, but being
Yeah.
organized is really important.
Oh.
Now they're all out of home, and it's great now. I can really focus.
It is
I,
great.
I can really focus. I mean, obviously, I love them dearly, but I can really focus on me now and what
Yeah.
I really want to do. And I try to work my most of my week into 4 days, and so then I have Friday is my me day, and then
Mm.
the weekends. So yeah,
I
it
love
just
that.
Yeah, it's important. As we know, as we're recommending and saying to people, you need some me time, you need to take some time out. I still do that on a daily basis, whereas I'll do yoga and walking and things like that. But I also, it's like Friday, no work. If I
I
can.
love that.
Most of the time I manage it.
Great role modeling and practicing what you preach, right? So you also spent many years teaching and supervising students at the Academy of Complementary Health. What did you love most about that role? Do you love being a teacher?
I do. I really do. It's and some people have said to me, your eyes light up when you talk about teaching.
Yeah.
And it's one thing to be able to help people in their personal life, but it's another thing to be able to have a greater reach because when you are teaching students, then they're going to go out and teach a whole lot of other people. It's that ripple effect.
Yeah.
It's just going to keep going and going and going. And even like the teaching finished in it was the beginning of 2018, I think it was. And I even had one of my ex-students post something on her Instagram story about me the other day about something that she found she really remembered from, almost 10 years ago now. And it was like, oh, wow, I actually remember that day, thank you.
Profound.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's nice to be able to pass on your knowledge. I know
Mm.
that when my grandmother's passed, and it really hit me of like everything they knew, if they haven't told me about it, it's gone.
Mm.
And it hit me really profoundly because it's like you want to get those stories down before you lose them. And so I guess that in a way it's the same with the Legend series, like you're doing now as well. It's let's get that information down before it's lost because everybody
100%.
has a story.
Yeah, yeah. And it is sometimes it's just those little gems of just thinking, oh, I relate to that person, or that, oh, that's really great. Something, a truth that you learned somewhere on the journey. It doesn't have to be much, but it's just so important to capture it. Now,
Yeah.
there's often talk about there being a divide between traditional knowledge and evidence-based medicine, which is a real shame. Do you feel that there is, or do you have you, you're working to lessen the divide?
Yes, I am. I'm working to lessen the divide.
Great.
Absolutely. Because I think it's like we stand on the shoulders of giants, right?
Mm.
And this is in life in general and in everything. When you talk about diagnostics with ultrasounds and x-rays and CAT scans and all the rest of it, and life in general, we stand on the shoulders of giants. We take on, embrace the past and what they've learnt and you take the best of it all and then you keep building and building and building.
Mm.
And that's really important within our profession as well, because we have the basis. Like you can go as far back as Hippocrates and traditional Chinese medicine and the Ayurvedic medicines, and there are links all over the place to where we are now. And it
Mm.
is constantly building. So science, I believe now, science is proving what we knew without the actual science of it and without
Yeah.
knowing the pharmacology of how things worked, but they just knew it worked.
Mm.
Whereas now, where they're sort of going, that's why chamomile works really well on the
Mm.
stomach. And there's this thing called the vagus nerve, which was taught about thousands of years ago. And in the last few years, it's suddenly going, oh yeah, there's this highway, there's a link between the brain and the stomach. Now, I was taught that within my lessons from Nancy and the Newcastle College of Herbal Medicine over 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And then it was like, look at that. Now it's actually proven that there is a two-way highway between what's going on in the head and what's going on in the gut.
I think it's so important that we get that evidence demonstrated, and that's it. I'm
It
getting a
is.
consistent message, particularly on this series of, we've always known it. Everyone has said we've known this for thousands of years, but it's one of those, yeah, you could know it, but how do you then demonstrate that and, and have it peer reviewed and have it, we're even looking at that in the ATMS journal, getting it to that sort of level that you are happy to say, yes, come and, see the evidence evidence that supports our teaching. And I'm sure that's why you've done studies in medicines management and evidence-based complementary medicine, to then strengthen that profession, your profession moving forward, but also to strengthen your practice. I'm sure at this stage it's all about lifelong learning and continuing to stay updated, but also that balance of also putting back, how do you strengthen the profession?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I did my degree through the University of Tasmania in 2017 and 2018 with Jason Horrolack, which was amazing and fabulous. And I've actually just signed up for one of his other courses that I'm about to start as well. So it is lifelong learning. It's building always on top of what we knew then, and then you just keep building and following your interests and things like that. So you never stop learning, and you can learn from everybody. That's the other thing as well.
Yeah.
You can learn from new students. Your students will teach you things, and the people that, because I mentor as well, people that I mentor will teach me things as well. So yeah, you're always learning. You've always got to be open, and you should never be closed off. I think it's really important that science-based and evidence-based doesn't close off the traditional side of it, because that's where it started from. And it's also important that traditional medicine doesn't close off from evidence-based medicine, because that's what we're learning and that's what the future is. And like you said, that's what's proving it. I mean,
So it's almost like science is now catching up with traditional medicine of what you've known for generations. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, absolutely. There was, I've got some really old VHS footage from some conferences from the associations from the 1990s, I think they are. And they're talking about gut and herbs and gut health and brain health and emotional health. And that's back, 30 years ago. So it's, or more than 30 years ago now. And it's not new stuff. It's just building and building and building on top of what was known then.
Is it a challenge, or is it easy for practitioners to really honour tradition while still working responsibly and ethically in today's standards, right? So there's that sort of, like, obviously things have to be TGA approved and you have to work around the Australian medical model, but then you've got this whole view on what traditional medicines could be. Is that a challenge, or is it actually wonderful that you just go, yep, I know what the standards are, and we're already at a stage in this profession that it all just works consistently?
I think it flows really well. I don't see it as a challenge at all. I see people's attitude around it is more the challenge.
Okay.
Actual of what it all is. You need to, like I just said, you need to be open-minded, and you need to be, if you can open your mind and accept and look into things rather than just go, oh no, that's rubbish. It's like, oh, okay, well, let me delve into it. Let me have a look at it. And if people then come to me as a client and go, oh, what about this? Have you heard of this? And if I don't know about it, I'm not going to dismiss it. I'm going to say, well, do you know what? I actually haven't heard of that, or I haven't heard of that theory. Someone asked me about a particular theory the other day, and I went, I'm not really sure about that theory. Show me something and explain it to me, and then I can have an opinion on it. And then you can sort of, because I like to delve back into how did they come to that theory?
Yes.
What is it that they're looking at? And it might just be a completely different way of looking at something that I hadn't thought of. And then it's like, oh, okay, yeah, well, you know what? That actually makes sense.
Yeah, great. Now, I think you referenced before almost like the fragility of herbal medicines. Because of that, we need to be environmentally mindful. Is that kind of right? Like you were sort of saying that we've got to protect the environment, and particularly these traditional herbs and so forth. Why is that so important now from your perspective?
Look, this has really come to me from many years ago. I had Sue Evans as a speaker come up to Newcastle, because I had started this thing called, before COVID, Natural Medicine Forum. And I used to bring speakers to Newcastle because not a lot of speakers would come to Newcastle. We'd always have to go to Sydney to do anything. And I started this this forum, and I had Sue Evans come up for my very first one. So I had Sue Evans and Nancy
Wow.
in my first one. I'm like, wow, how am I going to top this?
Talk about peaking early.
Yeah. And so Sue was talking about how when she has been, and she mentions it, I think, in her PhD, when she went to, pretty sure it's Mexico, and she was with the traditional medicine women, and they were harvesting and talking about things and how important the environment is and the endangered species. And it's so important to really look at, and I always go back to rhodiola as a really good example, because rhodiola is harvested in the really cold, rocky mountain areas of Siberia. But because these women are paid per plant or per weight, that unfortunately they will often take them. So rhodiola, from my experience and my knowledge, is that it really should only be harvested from 3 to 5 years, not before. And even maybe from 5 years, not even before 5 years. But because these women are desperate to feed their family, they will
Yeah.
harvest as much as they can. And sometimes it's not even the right plant. And then that's endangering the rest of the species, because if the root needs 5 years to grow, then it's
Yeah.
going to take a long time for that root to grow in this cold mountainous region. And when the harvesters are going up there to pick it and they want to feed their family, they may not be that conscious of that plant isn't quite 5 years old, but my child is screaming of hunger.
Exactly.
What are
Yeah.
they going to do? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you balance that, mind you. That comes down to the growers and the manufacturers.
Yeah.
But it's really important, if we want to keep our traditions alive, then we really need to be able to look at that. And that also then brings me back to something you said before about simplicity. What's wrong with chamomile? What's wrong with rose hips? What's wrong with skullcap and oats and hops? And all these herbs that have been around for centuries, that grow easily and readily in many different environments. What's wrong with going back to those? It doesn't have to be some exotic, and rhodiola is amazing, but I actually don't use it because it's endangered.
Wow. So is that your advice to fellow or emerging practitioners, that that way of being respectful to the earth is to be aware of these kind of challenges, and they're understandable challenges, but there are other ways around that. You don't always have to go for the gold star, if you like. There's other alternatives that could give you a similar benefit.
Yes. Yeah, it's really important to remember that we have simples and very simple, beautiful medicine that can be just as good as your rhodiola. And we've got them readily available. You've got your Romania, you've got your licorice, you've got your Siberians or your ginsengs. There are many other options available. And I just think, as a herbalist, yes, I'm very environmentally conscious, and I'd sort of think that everybody as a naturopath or anyone involved in natural earth medicine would be. And I think it's important to live by that as well.
Mm. Does it surprise you or not, as coming from your perspective, that such timeless, simple remedies are still so important today? With all the other supplements and other medicines that have been created, you're actually still saying in your profession that these simple recipes have been remedies have been there for thousands of years, and they're still absolutely the place that you need to start.
It does surprise me in a way, and that's the amazing thing of nature, isn't it? Just nature is really incredible. Wherever you look at it, whatever you do, it's just amazing. Nature is really, truly incredible of what she brings to us. And it's sort of like, you think of the chamomile flower, this little tiny little yellow flower waving, going, hello, I'm here. Yeah, so it's And they knew, Hippocrates knew how amazing chamomile was, and it was as a tea. You know, a lot of these herbs that we now have in tincture form, they were readily available as a tea, and it was the
Yeah.
teas and the dried flowers and everything was put together in a concoction and boil it up, and there you go, there's your medicine. So there's a lot to be said for herbal teas as well. You know I've had a discussion with some people that go, herbal teas aren't strong enough. I'm like, have you ever had a chamomile when you've had an upset tummy? Have you ever had a peppermint tea when you've had an upset tummy?
Yeah.
You know, have you ever had a piece of ginger when you've had an upset tummy? Then yes, it
It's
works.
enough. It's enough.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
you created estuary learning, and out of that concern for the loss of traditional knowledge, was it the conversation that we've just had that sparked that kind of desire to create something? And what are you aiming to, protect and pass on as a legacy through estuary learning?
Estuary Learning was born from a lunch that Nancy Evelyn and Liz Conlon and I had one day getting together. And Liz and I were, well, Liz is still an educator at Nature Care. And we were very distressed about the fact that it was all going to degree status and they weren't going to be teaching homeopathy and they weren't going to be teaching much about bark flowers like 4 weeks and maybe 4 weeks of iridology as well. And it was like, oh, how is this possible that this is going on? And then Nancy's brain started working, and within a couple of weeks, we had sort of come up with a name and we'd registered it. And then Nancy put together a group of 18 practitioners from all over New South Wales. We had quite a few people come up from Canberra and the Central Coast and the South Coast, and we had our inaugural lunch, working lunch, and a get together. And that's where estuary learning was really born and really took off. And most of those people that all came to that lunch are still within estuary learning because it's the idea of we don't want to be and have a like what is it under TAFE or the education, what they say that you've got to follow under all those guidelines. We're an organization, a not-for-profit education and mentoring organization that is built on the idea of maintaining all this knowledge and all this traditional wisdom that we have. So we have people, members are also Pat Collins, who was not traditionally medicine trained, but she is just amazing. Pat's brain and what she knows and how she works is incredible. And then we've got a lot of other members that we've got elders. They may not want to be referred to as elders, but we've got a lot of people that have been in the profession for longer than I have. And then we've got new grads and we've got students as well. So we've got this whole range of members that all have something to offer estuary learning. And the reason why we're sort of not specifically just practitioner based is because we have body workers who are practitioners as well, yeah. But we've also got people that just have an interest in natural earth medicine. So we came up with that idea because we wanted it to be anybody that's interested in healing from the earth and healing the earth. Sure, come along and be a member. So we've got small batch medicine makers. We've got people that are garden lovers. We've got, yes, people that are practitioners. We've got students. We've got all sorts of people that are interested in astrology. We've got all sorts of different little groups within our estuary learning, but it's all about the idea of freely sharing your knowledge and your wisdom with anybody who's interested to hear it. And I mean, like I said, I learn things all the time from our members. You know, in our clinical patient discussions, someone will come up with something and they'll say, "Oh, well, what about this particular herb for this?" And I was like, "Oh, I've never even thought of using it for that." So it's like, we've got Rixt from Batello from New Zealand. She's a member as well. And Rixt has just recently published a book on low dosage herbal medicine. So she's quite fascinating, and she's been in the profession for 30 or 40 years as well. So there's just so many people that have so much to offer, and everyone's willing to share, and we just love it.
I can hear that. And I love it because I'm a big fan of just collective learning and seeing the synergy that occurs throughout those conversations that, or seeing things from a different perspectives. And I think we see so many solo practitioners, and it is really hard and can be really lonely, but you can also then be stuck in you only know what you know. And one of the joys that I'm finding through this series is that, you're hearing every legend who's come on so far is saying, I learned so much from the variety from other people, from other practitioners, their experiences, looking at things from a different way, or even for you, what you're researching, what other people are researching. And it's really refreshing to be able to see the value of that. Where has most of the value been from? Within just that ideal of learning and growing with each other? Or is it by strengthening yourself with a mission to really actively push things through your own practices? Is it politically? Where is the biggest value in that kind of collaboration?
I think it's in knowing that you're not alone and knowing that you've got a group of people that don't judge you, that will happily, there's no, I know you say it in class and you'll often say it, but there's no stupid question.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, well, I don't know, and I'm asking, and someone will quite happily give you their perspective on it. And so there's no judgment on knowledge that people have or that they don't have. It's just like very much open to whatever anybody else wants to share. So it is, and like you said, where it can be a very solo, especially if you're working from home or online.
Yeah.
And you're not in a clinic with other practitioners, it can be lonely. And it's this sense of connection and the sense of community that is fabulous. Like we have our annual conference every year, and it is just so warm and wonderful for everybody to get together. So we can all be part of that, and lots and lots of hugs and lots of learning. But we do learning from this year. We've got Ayurvedic presentations, we've got astrology presentations, there's herbal presentations, there's how to make cosmetic creams. There's all sorts of things that are, that's just part of that community and part of that warmth. It's beautiful. It's lovely.
It really is. So to close, when you look back over your whole career to date, what are you most proud of in your contribution to natural medicine?
Oh, wow. That's a
It's a
tough one.
biggie.
Yeah, it is. I guess it's the education. I like to help people feel good about themselves. I like to help people on a one-to-one basis when they're sitting across from you to help them feel healthier and better. And often when they come into you, there's often tears, as I'm sure you know from your own practice, and they really let their guard down. They're in a safe environment, and they trust you to help them improve their situation, whether it's, through herbs, so on a physical basis, but I also use bark flowers because that helps with the emotional side of what's going on as well. So just to give them that support that they're not alone. And then the idea of the teaching and spreading that information and helping students. I guess that's the thing that I really love is helping the students that feel like, because I can think back now and think back to the first people that I saw as clients and you go, oh my goodness, did I really say that? Or is that all I gave them? That insecurity of when you're first going out into practice. And Estuary Learning is a wonderful group, and just as my own thing, and that's why I mentor as well, because I want to be able to help people become a stronger practitioner so they're more confident. It's helping them to build that confidence. That's really important, I think. And I love the iridology too. I will say, like I recently wrote and presented an iridology course, and that's an art that is a fabulous tool that can help with analysis of somebody's health, and you're not needing to go on all these really expensive tests, You can look in the iris and go, oh, okay, there's some issues going on here. Like, what have you done with your back? And what's going on with your jaw? And did you have tonsillitis a lot as a kid? Or in somebody recently, it was like, wow, what's going on with your lungs? And goes, oh, well, I had whooping cough when I was 10 years old. So iridology is fascinating like that. And so to then be able to teach, to write, which was a mammoth effort. It was supposed to be a foundations and a beginner's iridology course, and it just went way over. I couldn't rein it in.
It was all too important.
Yeah, I said to the lady that was helping me with it, I said, okay, so advanced iridology. She went, I think we need to go back to beginners.
Oh, I love it. I've loved this conversation. You certainly are the gift that just keeps giving, Deanne. Yeah, just beautiful, beautiful career. And I love the fact that you have just enjoyed it so much, but you've also created balance around your own family, and you've known how to value what's important at different seasons of your career. And I think it's really important, particularly for women, to hear that, because it's a constant juggle. And it's really important to know that you're in different seasons and to be able to go, okay, well, what can I do to still honor myself and my qualifications and what I want to give, while also appreciating that you need to value yourself and that beautiful family that you're growing. So thank you so much for sharing just a glimpse into your amazing career with us today.
Thanks, Annie. I really appreciate that. Thanks for inviting me. I've really enjoyed it. And yes, I do love sharing it all. And you're right. It's the different seasons of where we are in our life. And that's why also we need to keep growing and morphing into what suits us at the time.
Exactly. And an evolution of self for the stage that you're in. So thank you so much for all of your wisdom. And thank you to our beautiful listeners or viewers, depending on what platform you're watching us. It's so wonderful to have you share with us on Let's Talk Natural Medicine, particularly this Legend series at the moment. If you haven't done so already, make sure you drop on over to atms.com.au and click on Friends. We would love you to become a friend of natural medicine, which is our community of consumers throughout the whole country and possibly more. And that allows you to get a little email into your in tray every 2 weeks. It's free. It will give you links to podcasts such as this, but it'll also give you free recipes from a celebrity nutritionist. It'll also give you blogs from our accredited practitioners and so much more. So you can scan the QR code if you're watching here now, or jump onto atms.com.au, click on Friends. And until now, keep living naturally well. Have a great week. Bye.